Hi everybody, and I guess we've got a great piece to do from the Chris's today. Today we've got a few features. We've got a special speech from an Ethiopian about Africa, and we're doing the song African Union. And that's because myself and my companies tend to try and support humanitarian things over there. It's difficult and from a long distance such as New Zealand, but we try, and it's a number of, I suppose, political issues that we get involved in. I try not to actually politicise directly on these shows. I mean, I've stood for Labour and I've stood for the Mana Party and so forth, and occasionally I stand for something. But mostly I keep to my own little zone. And what we do is let people introduce themselves. So Yared, for example, he introduces the topic today, and I simply play the music. That said, we want to go back to James Gandolfini, because there's a lot of interest in this book, which is quite surprisingly, really. I mean, I'm not really surprised in the sense that, of course, we're talking about a bigger market than New Zealand, and mostly what I write about is New Zealand, one or the other. So, or Aotearoa, I guess that's probably a better way to put what I write about. But having said that, I think it may be that we're onto a couple of things. One is the idea of Bada Bing, from an old New York musical, I think, or radio show that used to beam out of New York City into New Jersey. And that idea of things just being wrecked, we've got, get rid of that. Okay, all right, start again. Hi everybody, and thank you Shani for being our director today. And also starting off with a thank you to Yared, who's coming along later, from the Cresses. And Yared, of course, is singing, he's drumming actually, in African Union, a song that I composed with respect to some of the issues that he's facing. I have no claim or authority or knowledge or whatever of Africa. And so I'm simply the vehicle, I guess, for that. And love it, it's great fun and so on. So Yared introduces whatever the political topic is, and I simply play the guitar and sing a song, and I've written a song for it. So big ups to Yared, and thanks for coming along and playing the drums today, and all the best to everybody from the Tigray. So if we look at today's topic, we're talking about the book The Sopranos again, a book on the Sopranos, which hasn't been written yet. The other day I actually went out and talked about it. The book's called Bada Bing, James Gandolfini as Tony Soprano. And I'm quite delighted by the response to that little video that Shani produced and directed and I talked in. Because we're getting more hits on that than we are on stuff coming out of New Zealand. And that's to do with scale, I guess. There's more people who watch the Sopranos than watch anything to do with New Zealand, I suppose. I don't really know that though, and I'm assuming there's a scale issue, and that's an assumption, and I don't really have any basis for it now that I really stop to think about it. A television show versus a country, what do you know, what have you got? So, that to one side, it may be that there's several nerves that have been struck for a book that hasn't been written. That quite surprises me. So, I mean, I've done the notes and I've got it all ready, and as I was saying in the earlier broadcast, I'd been writing notes on it, and I'd been writing academic papers on the dances at the Bada Bing, and one or two other things when James Gandolfini unfortunately passed away. And with that, I decided that it might be a good time to actually put a collection together anyway. So I came up with the title of Bada Bing. And that part of the title, well, it's Bada Bing, James Gandolfini as Tony Soprano, that's the full title. Coming back to the first part of the title, Bada Bing, from what I can gather, originally came from a New York City radio show, and it was and I think I've got a funny feeling I can remember this here in New Zealand on the radio. Bada Bing, it means that it's over. Wow, look at that, boom, Bada Bing. And it became a kind of comedic routine or something. So when the producers of The Sopranos, the directors of The Sopranos, the writers of The Sopranos decided to call the strip club the Bada Bing, and that became the headquarters for the Sopranos, the Soprano crime family, then this, and I gather too, it's a tourist destination now in New Jersey, so that sort of takes my breath away. But the whole idea is that this is something that will take you back, bada bing, boom, you'll be taken aback. And I guess that's, in a sense, there's an irony in that, in that the death of James Gandolfini was like that for me. It was like, oh, what? That can't be right, you know, what's that, you know? And it wasn't exactly bada bing, but it was close, and it was like a jolt, like a little jolt of electricity going through your body. So that first part of the title, I think, has actually got a resonance, and I think that might be what people are looking at. The other thing is that I think the angle that I'm taking, that Gandolfini as Soprano is a cultural landmark. It's really serious stuff. And I've been saying that for a long time, and that's why I've been taking these notes and writing these articles and so on, even though I had actually focused on the dances at the Bada Bing, partly because I've been working in dance analysis and dance writing. But I think that is the other nerve, that people are actually, not exactly waking up, but there's a realization going on, a recognition, I guess, of just how good an actor James Gandolfini was, particularly in the role of Tony Soprano. I mentioned the other day that I had some time for his other performances and other roles, but I've got to say that that's only partly true. I really think that this is kind of like the beautiful Swampian only flies once or something. This is a really, really tremendous set of performances throughout The Sopranos. And I just wanted to take this time to note that it will be out soon, because given the response from the presses the other day, I'll just buckle down and write this thing and get it out. So thank you very much, everybody, for your responses, and I'm interested too in any written responses, any comments on my site, on the Facebook site, for example, or anywhere else, on what I'm doing, and any feedback, any kind of comment whatsoever. You've been with Peter Cleave here. I'm from the presses, and thanks once again, Shani, and thanks to Yared coming up. And big ups to everybody in Africa, because one of the curious things here is here I am talking about an Italian family, Italian-American family in New Jersey, but actually this particular clip will be watched across Africa and in Atlanta, Georgia, and places like this, quite away from places like New Jersey. And so there's a curiosity about this morning's from the presses is all I can say, sitting here in New Zealand. Thanks very much, everybody.